ABC 13 Eyewitness News starts now.
And now at 6, Houston police say a body was abandoned outside of a restaurant as no one called 911. In moments, we have the latest on this disturbing investigation.
As the prosecution is set to rest its case, the defense will look to convince a jury that the death of a 9-year-old girl is a tragic case of self-defense. We'll get you caught up on the trial of Tony Earls ahead of day 4 in the courtroom.
And, well, you know, we're keeping the hope, but things have gone from bad to worse for the Astros in their postseason push. We explain how last night's loss may lose them both the AL West and a chance at the playoffs altogether. Such a bad way to start it.
We're positive vibes.
But you're right.
We're going to be all right.
We're going to be positive on this Sunday. Good morning, everybody. I'm Brandon Hamilton.
And I'm Lileana Pearson in for Charlie Etsy. We're going to have those stories and more in just a moment. But first, we're going to check in with meteorologist Kevin Ross. First, look at our weather. Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Lileana.
Hey,
good to have you here.
Thank you.
Not a bad little Sunday on the way, and some really nice weather as you move towards the end of this upcoming week. I'm talking a little fallish weather on the way.
Right.
We do have to be a bit patient. I wouldn't exactly call today's weather fallish. Still stuck in that more summery pattern. That means a typically warm start at 74 degrees. Winds are light. Humidity is high. This was the case yesterday and really all through last week. We were in this very similar weather pattern. Nothing wrong with it, but I certainly wouldn't call it fallish. 74 in Houston at 76 in Pearland, 73 in Katy, 70 right now in Tomball. These temperatures just a hair above where we were at this time yesterday, because we've got a little bit more moisture in place, and that will lead to a little bit better rain chances. Still, I do expect most of us stay dry. Overall, I've got that rain at about 40%, but the rain chances are not created equally today. You'll notice right now, just about all of the action is either off the coast or right along the coast. We'll dive deeper into those rain chances this afternoon, and of course, talk about that fall front, which will most certainly change our weather for the better coming up. Your full forecast just a few minutes away, guys.
Thank you, Kevin. This morning, a family is still grieving the loss of their loved one found dead outside of a West Houston restaurant over a month ago.
And that man's parents tells us they feel something could have been done, something to help him that night. ABC 13's Brianna Willis joining us now live this morning with the parents' plea. Good morning, Brianna.
Good morning, Brandon and Lileana. Yeah, Houston police tell us none of the restaurant employees called 911 when the man passed out there, but the man's parents tell us they believe that could have made a difference. Take a look. We want to show you this man right now. This is 34-year-old Jesse Mobley Jr. Police say he went inside to eat at KFFO Afro Steakhouse in West Houston the night of August 8th, but workers told investigators he fell asleep and was unresponsive. Detectives also say employees thought he was homeless and put him outside before he was found dead the next day. But the Mobleys say he was not homeless. They say he lived with his aunt and was on medication and believe if someone would have helped him, he could still be here today.
They would have looked at his bag and seen medicines in his bag. Wouldn't they think, well, prescription medicines? And they seen that in his bag, wouldn't they think, well, maybe he has a problem? Call somebody? They didn't do that.
Yeah, we did reach out to the restaurant this week. The owner told us they want to wait for the medical examiner's office to provide an official cause of death before they make any statements. We're live this morning. I'm Brianna Willis, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Brianna, thank you for that update. Well, for the 5th time this week, a body has been pulled from a Houston bayou. Houston police say just before 8:30 yesterday morning, someone in a kayak came across the body in Buffalo Bayou near Hirsch Road in Clinton. The person recovered has not been identified, and there is no information on the cause of death. Earlier this week, a man's body was recovered in Greens Bayou. That was on Monday morning. Then hours later, a woman's body was found in Brays Bayou. On Tuesday, a 3rd body was recovered from White Oak Bayou, and then Thursday, a 4th body was found in Buffalo Bayou near downtown.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, prosecutors say that they expect to rest their case in the manslaughter trial of the man who's accused in a shooting that killed a 9-year-old girl. Investigators say Tony Earls had just been robbed at an ATM in the Gulfgate area in 2022. They say that he was trying to shoot the robber when he shot into a vehicle, killing Arlene Alvarez. Prosecutors say Earls was reckless when he fired 10 rounds from his gun. However, his attorney says that the robber was firing at him and Earls was defending himself.
Well, this morning we are learning more about a massive attack by Russia in Ukraine.
Officials say drones and missiles were fired across the country, damaging cities and infrastructure.
And so this all comes as the United Nations prepares to meet in New York. That's next week. ABC's Johnny Fernandez has the latest.
Ukrainian officials say at least 3 people have been killed and more than 30 injured in a massive aerial attack in several regions across Ukraine. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched more than 600 drones and missiles, damaging high-rises and homes in the eastern city of Dnipro. Officials say air defense, including an F-16 fighter jet, shot down most of the projectiles, but debris still rained down on several communities. Ukraine responding with its own strikes inside Russia, targeting oil refineries. Russia saying it intercepted nearly 150 Ukrainian drones. All this happening as world leaders prepare for next week's United Nations General Assembly.
Peace is under siege. Conflicts are multiplying. Civilians are suffering. Human rights and international law are being trampled.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said he plans to meet with President Trump at the UN meeting. The two leaders expected to discuss security guarantees backed by both Kyiv and its allies in Europe. Talks on any possible ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine seem to have stalled. 1 month after sitting down with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska to broker an end to the war. President Trump now expressing frustration with Putin.
He's let me down. He's really let me down.
President Trump is set to address the UN on Tuesday, with Zelensky to follow on Wednesday. Johnny Fernandez, ABC News, New York.
We are learning more about a restaurant fire that needed dozens of firefighters to get things under control.
The 2-alarm fire happened in the Greens Point area yesterday afternoon. There was so much smoke, we could see it from Houston TransStar cameras. That thick smoke was still there when our photographers arrived on scene. This was on Imperial Valley Drive near Beltway 8. The Houston Fire Department says that the restaurant was closed at the time and no one was in the building. The deputy chief said there was so much smoke that you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you, and the crews had to go into defensive mode.
They were 20 minutes into the fire and really had not ascertained exactly where it was at. It was all in the walls. We put a crew up on the roof to ventilate the structure, and he reported that there was smoke showing from the eaves across the whole side of the building.
It took about 2 hours to put it out. The deputy chief told us on the scene that there were no injuries. And it is an uphill battle for the Astros as they try to win that AL West after losing their 2nd straight game against the Seattle Mariners.
Breathe in, breathe out. Okay.
I know.
So that loss now puts the Stros 2 games back in the AL West. And, you know, it also means they lose the division tiebreaker with Seattle. But that's only part of the problem. Last night's final was 6-4. All of the Astros runs coming on a Jeremy Pena grand slam. The team is now in danger of not making the postseason at all after the loss knocks them out of the 3rd wild card spot. So the team still has a chance to rebound with just 7 games left in the regular season. They need wins and some help around the league. First pitch for the series finale against the Mariners is tonight, just after 6 p.m. Let's turn to some college hoops. The Cougs have had a great offseason recruiting-wise, but one second-generation commit has decided to take his talents to the West Coast. Aziz Olajuwon, the son of Rockets legend and UH alum Hakeem Olajuwon, has committed to Stanford in Northern California. The Cougs were hoping to get the younger Olajuwon to go along with their top 5 recruiting class. The 6'7" forward and number 61 overall recruit announced he picked Stanford over UH, Cincinnati, and Vanderbilt.
One person is dead and several others injured after a shooting at a country club.
Ahead, we hear from witnesses who say they heard the gunman speaking after the shots rang out.
Today, we're getting